So here at our house, my wife is a gardener, right? And so she has hothouses, she has greenhouses. This one she put a table in. But all of that is designed to help plants grow. When we start businesses, we hope they're going to grow successfully as well. But they don't always do that. And when they don't, they tend to close. Every year, 595,000 businesses close. I'm going to talk about how we can capitalize on that and help those people and help ourselves at the same time in just a second. Let's talk about why businesses close. There are nine reasons that businesses typically go out of business and cease to exist. They just say, it ain't working, we're not able to stay in business. As a matter of fact, 595,000 businesses in the United States alone close their doors every single year. Now that means that it's a business that was working just a minute ago and now it's gone, and the owner got absolutely nothing for it. So I ask you, what if we could look at some of those businesses that aren't bad businesses, that are closing for reasons that maybe it's not that everything is going horribly, but something else is going on, and we could acquire those businesses, which then gives the owner something for all the effort that they had. It allows the employees to keep working in the business and jobs to stay that would have otherwise gone away. It helps clients who loved what the business had to offer. How many times have you guys had something that you absolutely loved that the business went out of business and now it's just gone and you can't get it anymore? That stinks, right? And it helps the owners who would otherwise have absolutely nothing get something for their business and the effort that they put in it, and you get a business. That's pretty cool, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. All right, so let's talk about the 9 reasons that these businesses are closing and how this can actually be good for you. Well, the first one might sound obvious. It's money, right? Money. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're losing it. It doesn't mean that it's a bad business. I can tell you that a lot of the people whose businesses I acquire, it's that it wasn't making as much money as they could make doing something else, or it wasn't making as much money as they needed that particular thing to make to do what they wanted to do, to hit their goals. And so they've gone on to something else. So it's not always, even though it's very often about money, it's not always that there isn't money because the business sucks, okay? So that's the very first reason that somebody might just choose to close a business down. You got 2 businesses. I mean, most entrepreneurs have many things going on. I know a lot of my friends have 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 businesses, and then one of them takes off. Well, then they're going to take their time and they're going to spend on that business. They're not going to focus on the other 6 that didn't yet get to where they wanted to go, but they may be great businesses and they're just going to let them go. You're doing them a favor and you a favor if you can acquire one of those. Number 2, retirement. Not everybody, I don't understand it, but not everybody wants to work their entire life. So some people choose to retire. They're like, oh, I'm going quality of life, right? Doesn't make any sense. We want to hustle and grind until we die. So rather than them retiring and simply closing the business down, what if you were able to let them give you the business, and now the business continues and they get to go into retirement and maybe they get something for that? Number 3, relocation. Relocation because of all kinds of things. Probably the most common would be, I'm thinking that it's really expensive in this place that I live right now. I've had this business for a while and I want to go to a place where the taxes are lower or the cost of living is lower, or my kids live, or my parents that I now need to take care of live, or a million other reasons, right? Relocation. Number 4, burnout. Burnout. You've been doing this for so long that you absolutely dread your life right now every single day. In the dry cleaner, it's and the steam is coming up and hitting you in the face and you're like, I don't want to do this one more day, right? Burnout. You just get tired of it. Health. Hey, COVID, right? A huge reason, but not just that, all the kinds of health challenges that people have. There's a million reasons that somebody's health doesn't allow them to continue the business, or it's just too hard to keep going. Shiny object syndrome, SOS, right? How many entrepreneurs are happy with their business? Almost none, right? If you go to a networking event and you're an entrepreneur, do you know whose business you want? Anybody else is in the room but yours, because you know all the warts and problems and challenges and issues with your business, and everybody else's business is amazing. It's doing fantastic. And they're going to tell you it is because they don't want you to understand all the things that they're going through. But the truth is that all the businesses have challenge, right? So when somebody gets ready to get out of a business to get into the greener pasture, they're going to move on to something else, and they're many times just going to leave the business that they started behind and not pay any attention to it at all. They're just going to close it down. You can acquire it. No money out of pocket. Number 7, upcycle. So they think that they're in an upcycle right now. Right now, businesses are worth more than they've ever been worth before in the last 20, 30 years. We're in a fantastic economic upcycle for selling businesses right now. A lot of entrepreneurs think maybe it's time to move on to something else, right? While this cycle is up, and they're going to let this business go so they can get into something else. Okay, number 8. Partner challenges. I can't tell you how many times I've been able to get ownership in a business because I was able to come into a situation where partners had gotten to the point where they just couldn't get along, couldn't run the business anymore. They were deadlocked. Their expectations were different. I can't tell you how many times that people came into my office when I was practicing law as an attorney, and they started, we were best friends since 3rd grade. It's 2 parents, a husband and wife, parents and kids, grandkids. I mean, all of these different like super tight relationships that then 1 year later they come back in and it's blown up, right? It's blown up because being partners is difficult. And a lot of times they didn't take the time to get on the same page with their expectations, even though I would tell them they needed to do that. And that happens more often than not, where people just didn't take the time to do that. So that is an opportunity because those partners aren't getting along, that one or both of them don't want to be in the business anymore, and the business is just going to be closed. If you can come in and take the place of the partner that's leaving, or if you can say, hey, you guys aren't getting along at all, I'll just take the whole thing off your hands because they were just going to let it go, that's a great opportunity to get into a business. And then last but not least, number 9, the death of the owner. Hey, in this life, nobody gets out alive. We're all going to end the same way, right? We're all going to die at some point. When we do, there's a good chance if we're a solopreneur, if we're the only person, if we're the owner-operator of the business, that business is going to cease to exist because it was all us. But the other thing that happens is that it wasn't all us, but there's no leadership anymore. And so there's somebody that inherits the business and they're just like, I don't know what to do with it. I'm not going to leave where I live and go run that business in a different place. I'm just going to close it. So that's an opportunity to acquire the business too. 9 really good reasons that businesses close that create opportunities for you. Okay, so we've talked about businesses closing, and we've seen that there are 595,000 businesses per year in the United States alone that close their doors every single year, right? That's a lot of value that's gone that we could save and protect. And so a lot of people will look at that and say, man, that's tragic. That's terrible. All those reasons, those 9 or 10 reasons that you gave us, that's sad. What can we do about that? But I don't see that. I don't see that has to be a negative. I actually see that it's a huge opportunity, right? Some people, those of us who know how to do this, right? We know that this is a huge opportunity, and it's a huge opportunity to own a business that is already going. Remember those reasons that we talked about. Only one of those 9 was money related, and that one didn't mean that they didn't have any money. It just meant that there might be brighter opportunities in different things to do, right? There might be a redeployment of their efforts into something else. So I think that you want to think about the possibility that exists with all these businesses closing. You want to see it as a chance that maybe you can use this as an opportunity to get a business that was just going to go away and cease to exist, and own it yourself and turn it into a profitable wealth asset that generates income every single month. All right, now we've talked about acquiring businesses that are going out of business because they're simply closing their doors. We talked about a lot of different ways to do that. Let's look at how this could impact what you might be able to acquire this business for. Maybe you'll get it for nothing, but maybe you actually want to be a good human being and give these people some value for what they've created. So in a normal situation, let's say that this particular business would sell for a multiple of 3.7 times its profits. Most businesses sell for a multiple of their profits, okay? You might have heard it referred to as SDE, seller discretionary earnings, or EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. But don't worry about those fancy terms. It's just a way of saying profit. The only way that we attorneys and accountants get paid a lot of money is to create complicated terms that you don't understand, and only we do. But it really means profit. Okay, so if we know that businesses sell for a multiple of profit, then does it stand to reason that the lower the multiple that we're able to pay for the business, the better the deal, okay? Because that means instead of selling for 3.7 times profit, which would be a good deal, and maybe market value, these people are motivated sellers. Those categories that I talked about, those people are motivated to sell their business. They were just gonna close the doors, right? So maybe we can acquire it for 1.5 times. Maybe we can acquire it for 1 times profit. Now here's what's really cool. Without going through all these numbers, I can tell you that the valuation of the business is the same. The market value of the business is, let's say, 3.7 times. That's the fair market value. If you pay 3.7, then it's only worth what it was going to be. That's 3.7 times the profit of 360 is going to be 1.3 million valuation. After you close the deal, it's still worth 1.3 million. But if you paid less than market, if you paid 1.5 times, then you've acquired the business for 540,000 instead of 1.3 million. That means that the business, though, is still worth 1.3 million. So you pick up a wealth spread between the 1.3 million that it's worth and the 540,000 that you paid, or 760,000 in profit. If you only paid 1 times earnings, it's 360 is the purchase price. 1.3 million, it's still worth the same. The fair market value stays the same across all of these. What's different is how much you paid. The purchase price here, because you're only paying 1 times instead of 3.7 or 1.5, is 360,000. 1.3 million minus 360 means that you've picked up 940,000, almost $1 million in profit. It all has to do with being able to buy right. Okay, so I talked in these videos about how you can identify motivated sellers based on why businesses are closing. Those 595,000 businesses a year that close. We talked about the reasons why they did it. If you'd like to figure out how you can actually acquire those businesses, then click the link below and grab a copy of my book Before We Sell Out Again, so that you can find out all of the strategies that we use to acquire these businesses. Click the link below, get the book right now. I think you're gonna really like it. If you like what we just covered in this video, then you're going to like the stuff that we have in all our other videos too. If you don't want to miss out on any of it, because we're putting new stuff out every single day, all the time, we're living in these deals and making things happen, and then we're sharing the things that we learn. This is something that I do every single day, and I like sharing with you what I learned. So click subscribe so you don't miss any of it, and you'll be able to tune in for every single new video that we create. Click subscribe right now, and we'll see you in the next video.